As we move on from the debacle that was Iowa, we are looking forward now to New Hampshire and beyond.
Taking a look at the latest polling nationally and in California, we are back with Democratic strategist Andrew Feldman and Inez Stepman, senior policy analyst at the Independent Women's Forum. All right, so let's go ahead and put up the latest. So we hadn't gotten any national polls post-Iowa to see how that shook the race up until yesterday. And now we're getting a little bit of a clearer picture. We see Bernie Sanders really surging into that front-runner position, Joe Biden falling off, but maybe the biggest storyline is Mike Bloomberg jumping right up there into third place, not just in this poll, but also in a Quinnipiac poll that we looked at.
Ipsos.
And in Reuters Ipsos. This was the order in all three of those, correct?
That's right.
So, Inez, there is some real movement here, but it's not for Pete Buttigieg so much as Michael Bloomberg.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's surprising. It's surprising to me because I actually hadn't. I'm one of the very few people who had not seen a Michael Bloomberg ad until like 2 days ago at the gym. I had not seen I don't know what it is about my algorithm. But obviously,
living your life.
Yeah, I live your life.
Tell me what you've done.
Yeah.
No, but obviously this works to some degree.
He's got good ads.
But we'll see once he actually gets a spotlight, we'll see then once he actually gets the critiques that other candidates have gotten and, in a serious way, I still sort of doubt that it's going to hold up. But my colleague over at the Federalist, Chris Bedford, has a very interesting theory about this, which is that Bloomberg, he's not actually that interested in winning the nomination, but it's much better and easier to spend his money through a campaign. If he was going to put in all this money, it's easier and better in a variety of ways to use it as a campaign instead of doing it as a PAC.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, no, that's true.
So you get better ad rates as one.
You get better ad
deal.
rates, and then also just being able to hire all of his staff. And he's already told them he's paying them through November. So I think he's trying to build an organization that will then run against Trump in November regardless.
Yeah.
But he would probably like to be at the top of that organization.
It's the weirdest hedging of things that we've ever seen. So, Andrew, what do you make of this? Because you work in this professional political class. We're hearing stories all over America of Bloomberg people are going to go work for Mike Bloomberg because he can double your salary and pay you all the way till November.
That's what Chuck Grosser told us earlier.
What does that mean? What does that mean for the primary? Like, what does it mean for the actual mechanics of Democratic politics?
Look, to me, it's too early to really tell, but we know that he is in 18 Super Tuesday states. He's not only on the air. If he was running a straight ad war strategy, then I would say, look, this is just a major advertising campaign. But he is on the ground. I know people on the ground for him in Tennessee, right? Wow. He literally is building a ground operation in these states. The question is to me, and because I've done, field organizing, I've been in the trenches, if you're not passionate when you're knocking at the doors for a candidate, it's hard to really sway voters in the field game. So the question to me is, how does all this money play out? Absolutely it's going to take votes from someone, but does he put himself at the top of the pyramid at any point? I'm not sure. I mean, I know that $258 million or whatever the last count is in advertising is a crazy number. As you mentioned off air, we haven't seen that. We haven't seen that before. It's sad to me that we haven't even seen Mike Bloomberg really on the stump, and people are being swayed by his advertising. I mean, we just have to see how this plays out, but it could have a shake in the race, or it could backfire. It looks like it's working.
Because, we have that rally footage from Philadelphia, 2,000
Are you sure they weren't paid?
I don't know if they were paid, but a lot of them seemed like they were happy, and, it was a decent rally. There was a cool laser show. It works.
They were paid. One thing, though, that I think is sort of benefit for Bernie Sanders out of this is the fact that I think a lot of donors, a lot of sort of Democratic elites, they see Mike Bloomberg as like a safety blanket. So they're not freaking out about the fact that Bernie Sanders is the front runner in the race right now. And if things go as they stand right now, he will be the Democratic nominee. Like, they should be having a proper full freak out right now. But instead, they see Bloomberg coming down the pike. And as Biden collapses and Buttigieg doesn't really have a path and Amy doesn't really have a path and Elizabeth Warren is more or less dead in the water, rather than having the freak out they should, they're just kind of sitting on their hands because Bloomberg's going to save them.
Well, there are certainly a lot of people now in that what is claimed to be the moderate lane. Although, again, I think these people are all different. I think Amy Klobuchar and Biden are kind of similar.
Lane is kind of how I see it.
They're kind of similar. But then Mayor Pete, I think, is quite to the left on social issues. But he is very Acela corridor. Like his views are very Acela.
Cares a lot about the budget. Yeah.
But yeah, then you have Mike Bloomberg, who used to be a Republican, is sort of the nanny state guy who wants to ban your soda, but has, his gun control is the main issue that he, talks about. Look, all of these people are all just alternatives to Bernie at this point. And if you have so many alternatives, especially with Elizabeth Warren collapsing and kind of being in that lane to begin with anyway, she wasn't fully in the progressive lane, it looks better for him,
So it's interesting. I actually have a limited insight on this. Somebody a friend of mine sent me an internal Goldman Sachs analysis about why they're not freaking out about Bernie Sanders, is that they put the chances of Medicare for all or a wealth tax being passed at 5%. So they're like, even if he wins, nothing's actually going to happen. It's kind of interesting, Andrew, that maybe shows like why they're not freaking out, because they're so cynical about the political process and about the Senate that they think nothing is going to change. I would caution them that I don't think that that's true.
The system is broken.
Yeah.
The system's clearly broken, and we need to somehow get it back to working, where we pass legislation, where we have debates, and we actually move forward instead of Mitch McConnell holding everything up as we're seeing now. But look, Michael Bloomberg, we have to remember, people of color determine this primary.
Yes.
Michael Bloomberg shows that he has some support amongst people of color. Crazy to me when you look at stop and frisk in New York. I think that will become a much bigger part of the conversation. But we have to see, after these first two states, does the momentum from any of these candidates carry into their support with people of color? That changes the dynamics as you move forward
I agree
with everyone.
I just don't see it.
Not to mention stop and frisk, but also that he backed George W. Bush, who, of course, is not loved in the African-American community for his handling of Katrina, among other things. Rudy Giuliani. There's a lot to dig into there, which I'm sure will happen.
Certainly, guys.
In the coming months. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Great to see you.
Tomorrow on Rising, we're going to have course coverage of everything that happens tonight in New Hampshire.
Indeed, but tonight you don't want to miss our live coverage of the New Hampshire primary. We're going to have a ton of analysts, reporters on the ground in the Granite State. As always, like, share, and subscribe to us on our Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. We are so excited to have you back here tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be great. See you guys.